So in this video, I'm going to teach you and your team how you can start to learn to play Overpass B-side on the CT side. You should follow the fundamentals I'm going to share in this video in your gun rounds, in your defaults, simply because these are the most efficient ways, they give you the most options, and these also scale on a higher level, so as you go up the ranks and you play better teams, you can still follow these fundamentals. Generally, you want 3 players always playing B at the round opening. The roles are a monster player, a water player, and then a rotator. The monster player has a pretty obvious role. You're going to go up through heaven because it's the fastest way. You're going to drop down into the water so that way you don't take any damage. And then you can, on anti-ecos, you can Molotov, you can HE if you need to. But one of my favorite things to do if I'm not fully expecting a B-rush but I still want to defend against it, is to just self-flash, turn around, and when flash pops you just peek. There's a smoke right there, so any of the T's ahead of it, they're going to be blind. If the T's are not B-rushing, one of the most common plays that you might see happening is that the T's might throw a monster lurk smoke. Generally, you want to be throwing a Molotov behind it and then get close, and then that way you can sort of guarantee nobody actually took monster control. The second role is the water player. So the water player is responsible for water. You're going to come up here. You always Molotov water, short tunnel right there. There are different lineups. You can use running versions, a standstill version. And then on a higher level, I even recommend you instantly use your HE for the door. Again, there are different lineups on my channel. But the point is that HE is a great way to slow down the connector T-side player, make them dump some util. It allows you to attack connector and also take the flank quietly without actually opening the door. So there are a lot of different benefits to doing that. And then you're responsible for water. There are different things you can incorporate depending on your preferred playstyle. For example, you can look at the sky to see if there are any nades being thrown. That will just maybe give a tell if the T's are doing a B-rush. Be careful of the spam, and then generally if you can get close to wood or pillar or even sight, those are all good spots to be in. You also have to communicate if the T's insta-smoke the Molotov you throw, because that might mean the T's take water control, so you instantly need to get ready as a team to defend against a B execute. The last role is going to be the rotator, which generally is there to support and facilitate the B players. So you always open by throwing a smoke. You should maybe drop a flash or HE here so you pick that up immediately as soon as you throw your smoke. And you have an option. You can either go through heaven, and this is nice because you can take some long range angles against ecos. It's tough to flash heaven, so you really need to smoke it. So a bad team might not smoke heaven. You have a lot of ways to defend. When you're in heaven, generally you should have like a flash ready so that if your teammate is right here peeking monster and it's a rush, you can keep chaining the flashes behind him and defend. If the T's throw a heaven smoke, you should instantly drop down because you're just going to get locked out and unable to help your teammates. The one caveat I'll add on a higher level is be careful of the T's doing the 4-man stack boost right there because that will pick you off because you'll be late after throwing the smoke. Other things you can do from heaven, you can HE water like that if you think they're going to rush it. You can also throw a delayed HE right here where you aim at that and you run through it and it lands right here. So oftentimes the T's might have a lurk who's trying to take up right here and you can punish all that stuff. The other option you have as a rotator player is to play down lower. You can also do lots of the similar things. So for example, you can HE short tunnel like this. That works. You can hold flashes for your monster player where you throw it like this. Both options are fine. You can jump spot. You can instantly go into some boost. There are lots of different things you can do. Now, what do you do if the T's aren't rushing B, but they instantly take water? Well, the water player and the monster player instantly have to get into a comfortable setup. So what I recommend is you re-smoke monster tunnel. That way they can't come out through monster. And then get into a really strong setup. What you're essentially telling the T's to do is you can't come through monster, but if you want, you can come through water and we're ready to defend it. Because you have 3 players in very strong spots ready to handle this. So for example, monster player might play inside monster tunnel. He just cannot get flashed if he does this. One setup I recommend you might want to try out is one player watching monster from pillar and one watching short from wood wall. The reason for this is the T's will often throw flashes that pop here or here, but the 2 players don't get blinded by the same flash. And they can, of course, like switch and turn around and help each other. So for example, if the player wood gets blind and I'm pillar, I can just take this angle and sort of help them. Whereas if my pillar player gets flashed from monster, I can turn around from wood and sort of help them as well. So that's just one example of a setup you can use. You can come up with your own if you want, use util patterns. Generally, the rotator should always have flashes ready to chain to just blind the monster players. It's going to delay the T execute. It will allow your monster player a lot of kills and basically like allow time for the rotations. So that's just the round opening and all the different options you have. There's some aggressive options you can look at. So for example, there are a lot of boosts you can do. One common boost is this boost right here. So the bottom player just stands on this side. Don't stand on the top, just on this side. And then the second player who wants to boost on top, you can just jump on top and stay crouched the entire time. And then when you uncrouch, you basically get a really nice headshot angle to peek that thing. You can also go for boost right here. You can go for a boost on top of this angle right here to watch connector. And then you can also try to run boost your teammate across here. So you stand here, your teammate jumps up across, and then you sort of like run here without exposing yourself. And your teammate will just run boost to get across here. And that way you maybe can skip a monster smoke and make the T's like actually lurk up on you. The other aggressive options you have are you can, of course, phase smokes. You can double push either tracks area right here or water control. So what often happens is you can throw a smoke that's very deep, and then you can just sit inside that smoke and phase it out. Or you can ask for a flash that your teammate throws right here. That's fine too. And then for water, one of the common examples of things teams will do is they will throw Molotovs that land right here, and then they'll get flash popped just to peek and see if there's anyone out in this open area. That util set doesn't guarantee you can get water control because there could be a guy in connector or a guy short tunnel, but it does allow you to catch any Ts who don't know what they're doing. So those are the aggressive options I wanted to cover. The last thing I'll discuss is the rotator and the different things you have to do if you have to like defend against a B rush or something like that, and then also mid round. So remember, like if it's a B rush, you should help your teammates on site and commit to site and defending it. You can of course dump a Molotov right here if you're not comfortable about water against a B rush. Other common utils I've seen is a smoke right here and a Molotov right here, where you sort of like just buy as much time as possible for your rotates and sort of break up the site. You can of course play from like deeper angles like graffiti or heaven, which might be it might be able to avoid some of the flashes the other team is throwing. The other thing you have to be careful about as a rotator is if the Ts have shown no convincing presence towards B, but your A players think it's a guaranteed A take, you should rotate up, okay? So you have options where if your teammates are, for example, playing heavy long, you might want to play truck just to defend like this walk up right here. Or if your teammates are playing heavy in like bathrooms and divider, then you need to be responsible for long. So you can maybe jump spot, or maybe you could just hold it from like a nice cheeky angle, something like this. But generally the rotator is called the rotator because you have to swap your positions a lot and you have to sort of mid round. If that is the case where your teammates are playing heavier A, the B players have to make some considerations. It's really tough to defend B site with just two people because there's just so many different flashing opportunities for the Ts. So you either commit together with aggression or a really committed one-sided setup. So for example, you might have two players committed to hold monster who can also watch short if needed. That way you guarantee if the Ts come through monster, you're going to shut them down. And if they come through like water, you still have a pretty good defense. It's much better than maybe trying to play like something like where a guy is pillar and a guy is here, because as a two-man unit with no support, you're just going to get overwhelmed in a good strong T-side execute. The other option you have is to play passive. So this is a really common setup I've seen other teams do. So you have a teammate right here who's watching this side, and then you have a teammate in pit who's watching this, and then you can sort of like swap to like take this angle. But generally, you're guaranteeing you'll have pit control in the B post plant. So even if the Ts take B site, you'll probably maintain the man advantage and be able to set up a strong retake. The last thing I'll let you know is the common flashes the teams will throw, and you have to design your setups based on the level you're playing at. So teams will generally throw either a monster flash that pops right here or right there. They might throw flashes that pop here on the wood wall or here. They will definitely throw flashes that pop on the pillar. So these are all flashes that we're basically going to get a lot of the common positions you might be playing. A position like right here or a position like right here. So just be aware of the common flashes and then figure out your anti-flash angles. So for example, this angle right here doesn't get blind by any of the flashes, and then you can sort of like react accordingly. So hopefully this video was useful in figuring out how to defend the B site. If this kind of team stuff is useful for you and you want to see more of it, just put it down in the comments and I'll look into it.